Hey guys, Wolvie here. This is a triple rework extravaganza. In this case, it's going to be Tifa for Final Fantasy VII, Noel for Final Fantasy 13-2, and Ashe from Final Fantasy 12. Now, you're kind of wondering why am I not in the game, all that stuff. Before I go any further, I actually had something going on for at least two of them. And unfortunately, the app I was using to record unfortunately took a dump, to put it cleanly and kindly. So therefore, I had to brainstorm, okay, I need another recording app, to help me with this particular bunch. So with Ashe getting her second rework, not so in tune with Stray Ghost's Lost Chapter, I am including her so that way I could play a little bit of catch up. Before I go any further, the usual disclaimer, any opinion in this video is my opinion only. And the thing here is I will have Tomberry Trip into Cydia Database website in the description below. Now, with that bit out of the way, for Ashe as well as Tifa, this is their secondary rework. For Noel's case, I believe this is his first. If memory, so I do want to have a bit of a spoiler for Global. Noel is getting his burst weapon down in the future, on a future date, so just a little heads up. So with that bit out of the way, this is the good and bad on each of these reworks. I'm gonna go with Tifa first. That again, I'm going in order of the games, I guess. So for Tifa, some of the highlights of her rework, which includes the debut of her LD, is that the LD she hits like a truck. And with that bit out of the way, she does get some access to free skill usage to enhance the longevity, improve potencies, more skill uses of skill 2. So that's some of the highlights there. Now with Ashe, it's the same thing. She gets more like improved potencies, buffs, debuffs, that sort of thing. With her LD, it does what it does. She adds a second element into her kit, and that's Holy. We do know she deals like some form of thunder damage. And she does some form of healing in addition to all that stuff. Now with skill 2, now granted she does not get any more skill uses, but with skill 2, this joins the LD as abilities that deal some form of AoE HP damage. Now I noticed in the Tomberry Trip, it's like this doesn't really bring it up. But I do want to point out that with skill 2, Heaven's Wrath, this does deal AoE splash style damage. And when it comes to AoE HP damage, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what type it is. If it's AoE splash, split, or full, that still counts as AoE HP damage. So with that, so that's some of the things you want to take into mind with Ashe. She gets no more new skill uses, that sort of thing. Now, all characters, they should have like a third rework somewhere down the line, because we know that with Bart's, he got his third rework. Zidana's going to get his with his burst, whatever, later on this year, that sort of thing. Now with Noel, like I say, he does get a burst weapon. I had cat hairs like near my eyes, so I do apologize. So with Noel, like I say, he does get a burst weapon down the line, so he does get a definite more uses in certain regards. But anyway, he does get more skill uses, and he has a more direct way to deal AoE HP damage, that sort of thing. Potencies, all that good stuff here. Now, he has this thing like Makinos, like, as long as you have a certain buff on him, is that he does whatever he wants, and then he has a follow-up HP attack, which helps him deal more damage. Now, with that sort of thing, with Tifa, what's good about her secondary rework? What's not so good? Now, like I said, she hits like a freaking truck. The thing here is that what hurts her really bad is that all of her moves are still single targets. The reason why this is bad is because you're talking about crowd control. She has no means to do it. Now, when it comes to her free skill usage, it's a roundabout way to go get to it. And that, to a lot of players, can get really annoying. Because it's like you have to do LD, the throttle version of the HP attack, and then you get your free skill usage. So that means you do have to burn off the LD in order to, start up the path. So it's a bit of a longer way. It is a little bit time consuming, but fortunately for this, what helps Tifa in this case is like you don't have burn turns, but you are wasting time. And then there are certain enemies where it's like the brave recovery, whatever, this does hurt her. So it's like, you have to be careful with what team composition you put her in, because it is in the sense of she's single target all the way. Now, if it's situations where, if it is situations where it's like, it is an element that's best used to damage somebody, and they're weak against magic, Tifa's no good in those situations, that sort of thing. And the only way you can get around that is that, we have her with an elemental specialist, that sort of thing. Now for Ashe, what's good about her rework, what's not so good? Now, the only good thing I could see with this particular rework, it says that she hits harder, all that stuff, is the fact that Skill 2 joins the LD with dealing AoE HP damage. Now, outside of that, I have to be completely honest here, is that she doesn't have many more skill usage. She does get a free skill usage out of the gate, but that's it. She doesn't really, as far as I know, she doesn't have many means to conserve skill usage, and that skill usage, and this does hurt her in the end. Now, she's tied down to 2 elements, and this does hurt her in situations where it's like, one is weak against one element, but absorbs the other. Now, as to whether or not I feel she may be a future burst weapon candidate, I'm going to say yes to this question, answer this question with a yes, because she is a major player in DFFOO 12, in my personal opinion. But we shall wait and see. Noel, what's good about his rework? What's not so good? Now, the thing is with Noel's rework, let me check my time here quick. Okay, so it looks like I'm doing better in time than I thought I was. But here's the thing with Noel, is that I'm gonna cut straight to the chase on this one. People may be ticked off at me for saying it, but Noel, in my opinion, should not have gotten his burst weapon. Like I said, it is a spoiler for Global. He is getting it, but I don't feel he should have gotten it, because you're talking about him and certain other characters down the line that are getting their burst weapons who were not confirmed as the mains. Now, the only exception of the quote-unquote non-mains getting their burst weapons, the only 2 exceptions I see in making 100% perfect sense are Locke and Gilgamesh. Locke, because for Final Fantasy VI, and this is an example, Final Fantasy VI does not have a single protagonist. That is a noted fact confirmed by Square themselves. With Gilgamesh, he's a bit of a quote-unquote, the closest thing you have as a staple in the franchise, alongside Bahamut. So it's no surprise that Gilgamesh got his burst recently on JP. So it's one of those things that's like, those 2 make sense. Now for Noel, it's like he was the one person that everybody was questioning. Now, because of this, he kind of falls victim into JP decision making. Why certain characters when you know they're not the main? Now, with Makina from Type 0, it's again, that can be questioned by something, because it's like, Makina actually is not the antagonist. I'm going to pronounce this person's name wrong partially, so bear with me. So Sid Alstein, I know it starts with an A, but I know Sid Alstein is actually the actual antagonist for Type 0. So it's one of those things you have to look at decision making JP's making. And the only thing that's bad, one of the biggest things that's bad about Noel getting a burst in this regard, which kind of affects certain things down the line, is JP's decision making. Noel's a quote unquote victim of that. Outside of that whole thing, the other bad thing about is the same thing with Ashe. Is that, like Ashe, Noel's tied down to more than one element. Now, unless enemies have no issues with his style of attack, meaning magic, melee, or range, or have no issues with ice or wind, there's going to be problems with team composition because being tied down to more than one element, which is the same issue with Ashe, alongside Ferris, XIII, and there are other people out there who are tied down to one element. I want to say Camlino is another. He is. I'm not so sure if it's actually no, it's not Camlino. It's Sandy. Sandy from Final Fantasy III. So look at characters like Sandy, Ferris, XIII. You name those type of units who are tied down to more than one element, you're gonna have problems. And by that is like you can absorb one element, but weak against the other. So it's one of those things. It's like you have to be extremely careful with tie composition for units like Noel and Ashe because they're tied down to more than one element. And it's something, it's like if it kind of creates a situation where things get worse before they get better. Now, there is a video before I sign off for the day. There is a video I was planning for, my honest thoughts on the game. However, I'm saving a lot of that into the final video ever for the DFFOO section of the channel because I really need a little bit more time to, get my thoughts in line because I do have some degree of criticism for the game that I really feel needs to be said. With that bit out of the way, the character spotlight for June Lightning, I am going to combine it with the July character. I am leaning towards Kadaj at the moment. It's a bit of a sudden announcement, wait and see sort of thing. So, with that being said, I am actually done with this video. With Wolvie here, signing off, I will catch you all on the flip side.